Good evening. My name is Stuart McKissick, and I'm pleased to provide to you the course overview for the INdesign course at Campbell Valley. There are a number of new holes this year. If you've been following the announcements with the mowing challenge that's been happening this season with all the rain. So let's go over some of these changes. The app is completely up to date now with new course overview map, which you can see on your screen right now. So hole one is the same. And hole one is a par three that's 320 feet. There is a hazard that is on the left-hand side. There's the jump that is still there as well. So hole two is not much different than previous years. The tee pad has been slightly adjusted. There's a mando on the left side. You must navigate that. But the tee pad angle has been adjusted. Also at the tee box, this is a rectangular out of bounds. There is no nook that is available this year. The basket's been moved to the left, but there still is this out of bounds area next to the basket. And then we begin to get into some of the new holes. So when we take a look, the new number hole three is 280 from the long, 220 from the short. There is a peninsula that the basket is on. It actually seems like it's eroded over the years with the Equestrian Society. So it's shaped more like the red line than it is the aerial photograph that we're able to get. But this is marked by a string line and the water is OB. You will play standard OB rules here. So point of entry. Going on to hole four. Hole four is 419 feet. This one does have a hazard on the left-hand side of the basket. So play it as lies, one penalty stroke. And there is a pond right next to the basket here now because it's been flooded. Should you somehow end up in that area, we are playing that as out of bounds and it must be fully surrounded by water. Moving on to hole five. Hole five is a par four that's up the hill. The long is 550, the short is 330. There is an out of bounds on the right-hand side. It does have a 90-degree infinity stake at the front and the back, so it's a box OB. Plenty of room out to the other side, so that's how that one's going to play. Hole six is an additional par four. This one's playing up and over the ridge. There's no out of bounds to be concerned about on this hole. There's 640 feet from the long. It's 400 feet from the short. Hole seven. Hole seven is a par four that plays along a long out of bounds area, which is marked by stakes. But also, visually you'll notice that the grass has not been cut on that lower side. So it kind of the OB line follows that grass line. So just play standard OB rules here. The long is 700 feet. The short is 350 feet. The eighth hole is a sweeping left to right shot, again out of bounds on the left-hand side that circles around behind the basket, essentially the shape of the long grass when you're standing there visually looking at it. This one is 315 feet. Now, once we've get past the first eight holes, that sort of concludes some of the new holes that are there. And we can go back and take a look at, we'll jump ahead to hole nine here. And we start playing the course as it was laid out last year. So hole nine, if you remember, is a par four. It's 530 feet. It's navigated very narrow. There is a mandatory that is marked on the right-hand side, is not on the signage here, but is marked, and the 90-degree angle is marked as well. Hole 10, same hole as last year. The basket is down in that bunker, placed 325 feet. Hole 11 is 300 feet. This is a left to right sweeping hole, and we do ask that as you leave the 11th hole that you follow the marked trail over to the 10th hole. Or sorry, over the 12th. Don't go backwards. Go to the 12th hole. So on the 12th hole, it's 290 feet, sort of a double pocket. You can go for the right side or the left side. Plays a little bit uphill and finishes to the right. And then on the 13th hole, we are playing the same holes before. There is a shared out of bounds line between 13 and 14. And so you're going to want to stay left of that. And it is tucked back in towards that fence. Naturally, if you go over the fence beyond the basket, that's also going to be out of bounds. 14's playing back up along that shared OB line, tucks over to the right. So other than the out of bounds to the right side, there's not too much to get too concerned about over here. And then when you get to hole 15, it's a straightaway par 3. The only out of bounds here is if you go long and off the property onto 16th Avenue. So, but that's quite a ways away. So I don't think we'll see too many folks doing that. Hole 16 plays up to one of the equestrian jumps. There is no real out of bounds. Somehow, if you happen to get on the left side of the fairway and over 17's fairway and off the property, the fence and beyond is going to be out of bounds there too. Hole 17 plays down the chute, 590 feet, par 4. Just a lot of natural out of bounds on this. But if you do find yourself again off the property, you're going to be OB. And the 18th hole is an island green that tapers wider from the front all the way to the back. Any out of bounds shots do come to rest out of bounds, do need to proceed to the drop zone. And then after the drop zone, you will play regular OB rules from there. So I hope everybody has a great time. This is the players meeting just for the INdesign course at Campbell Valley.